Franklin Northbound Bridge Replacement Project Development Environment Study, or PD&E study. My name is Kurt Bogan, and I am the Environmental Management Engineer for District 7 of the Florida Department of Transportation. Today is Thursday, October the 10th, 2013. It is approximately 6 p.m. We are assembled at the Tampa Marriott West Shore in Tampa, Florida. This public hearing has been held relative to Work Program Item Segment Number 422799-1. This project is the combination of two complementary studies. The first is the Howard Franklin Northbound Bridge Replacement PD&E study, and is the reason we are here this evening. The second is the Regional Transit Corridor Evaluation. We are conducting the hearing this evening to provide you an opportunity to discuss the project and to submit formal comments on the PD&E study portion. If you would like to provide input on the Transit Corridor Evaluation, you may do so using the available comment form or by visiting the project website. This public hearing is being held in accordance with applicable federal and state laws, and public participation is encouraged and solicited without regard to race, color, religion, sex, age, national origin, disability, or family status. This public hearing was advertised consistent with federal and state requirements and is being conducted in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. This information is also provided in the project brochure. This public hearing is being conducted in two sessions. Both sessions will be combined into a single public hearing record for the PD&E study. The first session was held on Tuesday, October the 8th, 2013 at the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority office located at 3201 Shearer Drive, St. Petersburg, Florida. The second session is being conducted tonight, Thursday, October the 10th, 2013 at the Tampa Marriott West Shore located at 1001 North West Shore Boulevard in Tampa, Florida. This is your opportunity to receive information on the Howard Franklin Northbound Bridge Replacement PD&E study and officially comment on the recommended build alternative and other documents available here tonight. The recommended build alternative is based on comprehensive environmental and engineering analysis completed to date, as well as on public comments that have been received throughout the duration of the study. This study meets the maximum air quality standards established by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. When you arrived this evening, you should have received an informational newsletter and comment form. If you were not able to sign in or did not receive an information packet, please stop by our sign-in table before you leave this evening. You should have also had the opportunity to view the audio-visual presentation that is continuously running throughout this public hearing. On projects such as this, one of the unavoidable consequences is the necessary acquisition of properties and the relocation of families and businesses. On this project, however, we anticipate no property acquisitions and no relocations. Before I continue, I would like to recognize any elected officials or their representatives who are here tonight. I ask that you please stand and introduce yourself for the record.
Bill Johnson, City of Clearwater Council and also PSTA board member.
Thank you. Anyone desiring to make a statement or present written views and/or exhibits regarding the location, conceptual design, social, economic, or environmental effects of the Howard Franklin Northbound Bridge Replacement will now have an opportunity to do so. If you have completed a speaker's card, please give them to a department staff member here tonight. If you have not received a speaker's card and wish to speak, please raise your hand so we can get you a card to complete. Okay. Written statements and exhibits may be presented in lieu of or in addition to verbal statements. All written statements received at either session of this public hearing and at the Florida Department of Transportation District 7 office located at 11201 North McKinley Drive, Tampa, Florida 33612, postmarked no later than October 21st, 2013, will become a part of the PD&E Studies public record. At this time, I will call upon those who have turned in speaker cards. When you come forward, please state your name and address clearly into the microphone for the record. If you represent an organization, municipality, or other public agency, please provide that information as well. Please limit your comments to the bridge replacement PD&E study and keep them to 3 minutes in order to allow everyone an opportunity to speak. If you have additional comments related to the PD&E study, you may continue with the court reporter after the formal session. The first speaker is Meralyis Smith. You can turn the mic back the other way so that the court reporter can. That's our court reporter. She can speak from the other side.
Good evening again. My name is Meralyis Smith. I live in Tampa, in South Melville, and that's all you need. First of all, I'd like to address the fact that intermodal is a very important word. If you don't know it, you should know it. The only problem is a lot of people who throw it around don't even know what it really means. So intermodal flexibility is what we need to look for when we start rebuilding anything, even when they screwed it up the first time. The biggest thing we need to incorporate at this time is the airport. And we don't need a rail to go to the airport, but we need buses for flexibility to bring the people out of those airplanes and let them go where they want to go on a bus and interface with buses around here. And that means flexibility. That means no more rail in the ground. That means less infrastructure that we have to then worry about upkeep on. I speak to you from that because I've traveled a bit in my life, and I do know what intermodal really means. And some people really don't. In fact, we had one guy work for MDOT, his name is Billy, trying to tell me that that silly little trolley that goes nowhere was intermodal because it was a bus stop 2 blocks away. Now that's really not very bright, but anyway. And in France, I've used buses an awful lot. The only way I traveled on train was to come out of Schiphol, which is an international airport. It is in Amsterdam, and it's a truly intermodal airport. It interfaces with high speed, it interfaces with regional, it is local, all of the transportations. Same thing in Italy, you can do that there also. You don't have to go on a train there if you don't want, and you certainly don't have to drive, and you wouldn't want to drive there anyway. They're horrible drivers. So, that being said, what I want to focus on here is keep those brief comments in mind, folks, because I'm on your side. I'm not here to feather anybody's stakeholders, and that's what you call them. I call them stakes in your heart holders. The northbound does need to be replaced, and it needs to be updated. The engineering will tell you that. The wave action has already destroyed many bridges here. I come from a state where they have a lot of experience in bridges in California. I'm very amused with this term being used here. Premium Transit Initiative. Well, that screams light rail to me. Don't need that either. Give good buses and get them to run on time with the flexibility to meet the people's needs, not Siemens' needs. Let's not waste any more time on that and look into the future. We need to have something that works for the people. We don't need to buy any more right away to make somebody else wealthy, to make the people move from here to there so they can make some more money. And the cost of going anywhere, nobody really cares about the little guy. All he wants to do is go to work and go there in a less expensive way. Can't afford a car. And when they keep changing the bus routes, they helter-skelter. That doesn't work. And if you don't like that, you can always really go off the deep end and put in light rail and then worry about how the upkeep, but that's going to run it up, but that's really going to cause you to go to work. So I think I'm about the end of my 3 minutes. Enjoying my time. And I've been doing this 30 years. I'm not going away. Decided I'm not leaving. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Peter Horstman.
Hi, Steve, thank you.
Fine. Okay. Our next speaker is Pete Franco.
Pete Franco, 7300 Sun Island Drive, South Pasadena. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to first off put in what my recommendation and request was with respect to the bridge and the corridor analysis, and it would be the express lane transport, which I believe is a $710 million alternative with express lanes on the bridge, and I support that concept for the whole corridor too. I'm strongly opposed to light rail for a number of reasons, to include cost effectiveness and value in general. I certainly would not support in any way the, I believe it's your item 31R13 or 31R14, which are the $1.4 billion or $1.5 billion bills that include a fixed rail transit over the bridge. So just a couple of background reasons. For one, I don't believe this supports the HART plan. I believe the express bus lane does. In Pinellas, there's an alternative analysis going on, but it's rather a resolution, an internal analysis got done, a resolution is getting ready to get done, but there's been no approval for rail. I know there's a lot of desire by the county commission, but there's been no approval. The Tampa referendum, and I was here at that time for that, for rail, failed quite extensively. People voted it down. I think those should be, pertinent reasons to look to not do rail. A lot of this is about rail, one way or the other. People already before opposed it. I assert that there's a lot of good reasons to do the bus transport, to include increased throughput, tolls, possibility, less congestion, better commute times, less emissions, better air quality. I have already I'm going to give in a list of some more facts that I see support that to the comments form. I've noticed that throughout presentations, there's kind of there's some strongly different interpretations of what the value or not value is, especially with respect to things like congestion, jobs, emissions, and like that. My research has shown that rail is not the way to go, and that buses and vehicle transportation, especially with better emission, is the way to go. Just wanted to point to there's a number in terms of looking at both sides, rail or non-rail. There's a whole lot of marketing for rail, and that's they're allowed to do that. But just there's a lot of dollars behind a lot of marketing to promote a for concept. I just hope that there is some willingness for the county commissioners and others to look at the some of the opposition to the strong pro rail.
Franco, I ask that you wrap your
Okay, and I'll just finish with this. If rail got approved and it turned out to be a really, really great thing, the extra lanes could be added at that point. Thank you for giving me the time to speak.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tom Umbridge?
My name is Tom Chromatic, and I'm from Tampa. And I chose to use public transit about 4 years ago. So I've been busing by for the last 4 years. So I've had a pretty good opportunity to experience what it's like here. I've also had the opportunity to experience what it's like up in Minneapolis when I went to a training up there for Sierra Club. So I'm here representing myself and also Sierra Club as a volunteer member of their LPR team, for the LPR team. So what they did in Minneapolis was almost a clone of what is proposed, of one of the options to be proposed in Meralyis County with the light rail, and it was fantastic. So in regards to this issue, after talking to the people across the hall, what we need to make sure of, since we don't know whether light rail is going to be in the mix or not, in order for it to be possible to be done on this bridge, that first iteration of it with the option to expand has to be built to the standards to be able to hold the weight of light rail. So that's the critical thing. If that first section is not built to that standard, then that would not be an option. So, that decision about light rail is yet to be made, but we have to set the stage for it, no matter what side of the issue you're on. So that's what I'm here to promote, the idea of making sure that the first thing we do with the option to expand is built to that load standard. Okay.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Michael Lane, or Michael Long. Long.
My name is Michael Long, 10236 Douglas Oak Circles, Tampa, Florida. I'm the president of the Hillsborough Young Democrats. I'm here to speak on their behalf. We're an organization that represents 111,000 and counting registered Democrats in Hillsborough County from the ages of 18 to 40. I want to start with a brief story, because my fiance is from Panama City. A lot of people think that means Panama City, Florida, but she's actually from Panama City, Panama. And it's what most people would consider to be a third world country. They don't have door-to-door mail service, they don't even have addresses. If you want to get somewhere, you can't plug it into a GPS, you have to tell them that the blue house is 4 doors down from the school on the street, and then you take a left to the yellow house. That's how you get somewhere. However, at the end of this year, beginning of next year, they will have a fully functional underground subway system in Panama City to take people around the business districts and the main areas. I just want to keep that in mind, that when it comes to public transportation, we are far behind the country with no street addresses. And that's got to change, and that will change, especially if we want to truly develop the whole entire Tampa Bay region into the region that we want it to be. And that includes making sure that when we build the bridge, we leave it open to all transit opportunities to decide on, including especially light rail. Because really that's how we're truly going to connect everybody over the regions. I don't know if most people followed during the RNC, we made a little bit of a fool of ourselves as a city with the whole entire nation looking on us because we had no transportation, no way for people to get places, and people were late to things because they were stuck in traffic on buses. And we just really didn't come up looking good, particularly compared to Charlotte, which was hosting the Democratic Convention, which had a fully functioning light rail city. So if we continue to want to be this city that competes for the World Cup, that competes for the Super Bowl, that competes for all these major conventions, we need to develop a system that connects Pinellas County to Tampa Bay and connects all of these hotels and all these prime areas to each other. And if Pinellas develops their own light rail and Tampa develops their own light rail, and there's no connection between the two of them, we really have built a broken system. And so that's really why we need to make sure that stays open. I'll tell you what, as young people particularly, public transit is one of the things we look at when we choose where we want to live. And that's why there's a lot of brain drain in the Tampa Bay area. We have, especially when it comes to the bridge, most people consider going from Pinellas to Hillsborough as like crossing the abyss. A lot of people won't do it because there's no good option, because it takes too long. Even if you build a new bridge, that doesn't have any other transit options, it's still gonna take too long. That hurts the arrays, that hurts the bucks, that hurts a lot of the things in our area where people are going to. Because I'm from New York originally, and we have a subway, we have a rail stop near Yankee Stadium, which is part of the reason why their attendance continues to be so high despite vastly overpriced tickets and a pretty bad team. So things like that are what we need if we truly want to turn both Pinellas and Hillsborough into a 21st century economy. We need a 21st century transportation, and at least we need to be more advanced in a country that doesn't have the speed deficits.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Eric Troll. Trio.
Sorry.
Hey, my name is Eric Troll, 1228 East 7th, Tampa, Florida. Great segue from the gentleman that just spoke. Sadly and admittingly a little bit blunt, majority of the stakeholders for this bridge are not present in the room. Those stakeholders being millennials. We'll live beside and with this bridge for the next 50 to 75 years. And this generation is a generation that views the world completely differently from that of baby boomers. Ladies, don't worry, I know you're all 29. There are some interesting facts about millennials that I'd like to share. My generation. There are more than 88 million millennials nationwide, 76 million baby boomers. So there are more millennials than there are baby boomers. The percentage of 16 to 24-year-olds with a driver's license has dropped sharply since 1997 and is now below 70% for the first time since 1964. 32% of millennials reside in cities, and there are 88% of millennials that desire to live in an urban environment. It may be hard to grasp, but for a growing percentage of my generation, a car, and for that matter a house, are no longer things that are longed for. The dream car has been replaced by the dream lifestyle. To baby boomers, cars meant freedom. To millennials and city dwellers, they mean struggling to find an empty parking space and unnecessary costs. Your current proposal replaces the northbound bridge with the exact same number of lanes. To me, this does not solve any problems of congestion in the Bay. Yet it still costs $400 million. $400 million for essentially no change. There are those in the room that scoff at the price tag of mass transit, but I cannot justify spending $400 million for no change whatsoever. To restate your own data, there are currently 140,000 trips made daily over the span, which will increase to 200,000 in the next 30 years. This is half the life of the bridge that is being proposed that holds the same number of lanes as the current bridge. To boost the economy of our urban cores, walking has to be emphasized as the fundamental street network. This is a fact. In order to do this, emphasis must be placed on mass transit. Every $1 billion invested in public transportation capital and operations creates 36,000 jobs on average. That 36,000 jobs creates an additional $500 million in federal, state, and local tax revenue. There's been a number of events just this week that support strongly this exact push for mass transit. From last Friday, a gathering of 150 of the area's young professionals to meetings just this morning with our area leaders supporting mass transit. I am working hard to solve the last mile problem that has plagued transportation through the implementation of Tampa Bay Bike Share in St. Petersburg, Tampa, as well as Orlando. And I encourage you to work hard to establish a transit option on this bridge, looking not only after my generation, but the economy of Tampa Bay as the whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ken Roberts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Roberts. I live at 5235 Moonshell Drive in Apollo Beach. I represent Citizens Organized for Sound Transportation. And we support a managed lanes option. That is the option that adds 2 express lanes both ways, supported by tolls, those lanes to be shared by vehicles paying tolls and buses. There's a number of reasons why we think that's the best answer. We think it's optimum in terms of mass transit and replacing the bridge. Tolls or users pay for the bridge, obviously increases throughput because of the 4 extra lanes. And the express lanes would integrate well with Hillsborough's preferred transit mode, which is their own model of bus rapid transit. Less congestion, faster commute times. We think it's a good solution. We expressly reject the addition of fixed guides or rail transit portion that has been studied for, or as being studied, I guess, for the bridge. It's not compatible with bus rapid transit. And really, when you look at this diagram, the reason really jumps out at you. Those 2 purple circles connected by the bridge, that's a $5 billion proposition without rail. $5 billion. The budget for Hillsborough County is $3 billion. Just to kind of put it in perspective for you. And we have lots of other things to spend money on. So it really doesn't make sense to spend a lot of money, make a commitment to a mode of transportation which accomplishes mass transit at 10 times the cost of bus rapid transit. Look at the service that currently connects downtown Tampa with the USF campus, the Metro Rapid. Hard installed Metro Rapid for $25 million. With 25 stops. The MPO offered a light rail solution over the exact same route with 8 to 13 stops, half or less the service, for prices ranging from $200 to $500 million. That's 9 times the cost versus about 20 times the cost. It just doesn't make the cut in cost effectiveness. So rapid transit, mass transit, it's going to have to look at BRT. Light rail is simply not competitive and doesn't make the cut for public transit. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stewart Roll.
Good evening. My name is Stewart Roll, and I'm President and CEO of the Tampa Bay Partnership. Tampa Bay Partnership is an 8-county regional economic development organization that's been working in the Tampa Bay region for 20 years on issues that affect business and economic development. Transportation, in particular transit, is something we think is key to the future of the economy of the Tampa Bay region. We spent a lot of time studying and understanding this issue, and we believe that that is a critical component for the future of Tampa Bay. I want to recognize Florida DOT for, first of all, partnering with our transit agencies on this project, as well as with other local organizations, recognizing the importance of understanding transit options as we go forward to rebuilding our Franklin Bridge, which is critically important that we do replace that bridge. It's critically important that there are managed lanes, express lanes as you call them, both to support the funding of the expansion of the bridge and to make it easier for us to move back and forth. But we also think it's critically important to provide that transit envelope, regardless of the technology, so that there is a fixed guideway, as you call it, premium transit option that we can consider. Because right now, in Pinellas, there are serious considerations about how to connect with a transit system, and it's very, very important to Pinellas County that they connect back to Hillsborough County. And likewise, I've heard speakers today talk about bus rapid transit and other transit connections for Hillsborough County. Those same kinds of facilities can be used if there is indeed a good transit envelope that supports a fixed guideway system regardless of the technology. So we encourage you to include that in your plans. And we thank you for what you're doing, and we thank you for partnering with organizations here in the Tampa Bay region.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Roland Bradley.
Yes, hello, thank you. My name is Roland Bradley. I live at 3001 West Aquila in South Tampa. I'm a fifth generation Floridian, was born and raised here in Tampa, and when I went to the University of Florida, when I graduated a degree in chemistry, and to be quite frank with you, I could not find a job here in Florida, so I left. I spent time in Chicago, spent time in Southern California. I then moved to Cologne, Germany. And lastly, I was in Pittsburgh before I moved back to Tampa in 2006. One of the things that all these other cities have that Tampa doesn't have if, and I'm not going to say that the technology job that I have is based on rapid transit or based on having transit systems, but I will say that those are the kind of things that, as I do research, I believe that will help bring those kinds of jobs potentially to Tampa. And I would say that I was able to use public transport in all of those cities, and it's kind of a shame that we don't have that. So I mean, to actually go and to invest in this kind of a project and not have that option to me seems incredibly short-sighted. So I would ask, and a lot of people talk about the fact that we don't have the density here. I can remember when I lived in LA, I lived in Pasadena before they built light rail in Pasadena, going downtown. People said the same thing. They go, like, you know, everyone uses the car in LA. However, there is now light rail going from Pasadena to downtown LA. It works great. And if you look at where density, there's a lot of growth in that area. So, and I travel on my present job right now, and I see that the cities that seem to have a real good vibe, they are investing in rapid transit. The last thing I'll say is yesterday I was in Raleigh, Durham, and I was listening to the radio, and so I was driving back to the airport. They don't have a light rail in Raleigh, Durham, but I was listening to these two jocks on the radio, and someone called in and made a comment that wasn't all that intelligent. It says, where are you from? Are you from Florida? And I just kind of said, like, it's just pretty sad that, you know, that people in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, when they hear someone they think they're not intelligent, they think they're from Florida. And I think that, like, this is the kind of planning. If we don't plan for something like this, you know, they will continue their reputation. Anyway, I'm here to support the library. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Linda Salsina.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Linda Salsina. I live at 157 Biscayne in Tampa. I'm here tonight as a former member of the Hillsborough County MPO for 20 years, and I'm representing Lisa Monteleone and Harry Cohn of Tampa City Council, who are current MPO members there at a city council meeting. But they wanted me to share with you our concerns that we definitely build a transit envelope as part of phase one. It just is smart. We know we need a transit system. The city of Tampa did support the transit initiative on the ballot a few years ago. I'm confident that the Hillsborough County Commission will follow the lead of the Pinellas County Commission in the future, put something on the ballot, and that it will be successful. So our concerns are not only that there's a transit envelope, but also that we include facilities for pedestrians and bicycles, as well as the other forms of transit. And lastly, the aesthetics of this bridge have not been addressed anywhere in any of the materials I've seen. I know at this point we're just considering routes, but beauty is important. We all celebrate the Skyway because it's such a masterful design. I hope that as we go forward and spend this kind of money on a public facility, we ensure that it's aesthetically pleasing as well as functional. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ron Gregory.
I'm Ron Gregory, and I've lived in the Tampa Bay area and worked at Tampa since 1974. And one of the things that I've had occasion to use the Franklin a lot for commuting around the area. And one thing I do know is that the department needs to move forward with their project as soon as possible, obviously because of the bridge condition, but I really think the idea of implementing express lanes as soon as possible is an excellent idea. And I think that express lanes would qualify as premium transit too, especially if you were coming out of North Pinellas and being able to go directly into the West Shore area and then access the new proposed Intermodal Center for the airport, and also then go downtown. But my idea is that people are worried about the $390 million for the minimal plan. But in the context of things, considering the length of this bridge, it seems like a good investment, particularly if you can configure the roadway, as you said in your brochure, into a 3 general use lanes and 1 express lane in each direction. The idea being that very soon we could actually run premium transit across the bay and into Tampa and into St. Petersburg and Clearwater. I know that the Clearwater area and St. Petersburg are considering a referendum this coming year. And if it's successful, we'll have the basis for even more direct service on that side of the bay. So I would encourage the department to proceed with the plan that they have recommended and be able to incorporate express lanes in it. Now, would it be nice to have the ultimate configuration that you showed? It's 4-2-2-4? Yes, but if the money is a real problem, then the 3-1-1-3 would work. It certainly would work for the idea of providing some sort of mass transit across the bay. And in the long term, I mean really long term, if someone comes up with a plan to fund rail, certainly you could add that to the plan too. But I think that what we need to do is find some solution here very quickly and affordable. My other comment is that this looks like the kind of project that could use a form of financing like a public-private partnership. It seems like it's a perfect project to try to get the private sector involved in funding, particularly if you're going to have toll lanes that could have a source of revenue. And also the Federal Transit Administration, I think, would be interested in any kind of premium transit as far as the funding goes for that. So I would encourage the department to move forward as soon as they can with implementing the basic plan that allows you to have all those elements right now, as soon as you can in the future. And I appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you. Could you state your address for the record?
My office address? Yeah, 7650 West Courtney Campbell Causeway, Tampa 33607.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Karen Jaroch.
Thank you. My name is Karen Jaroch, and I live at 16501 East Horse Drive. I'm a licensed professional engineer and also a board member of the Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Authority, commonly referred to as HART. HART is the public transit agency which operates on this side of the Howard Frankland Bridge, and I don't presume to speak for the board. These are my own comments. As you know, HART recently submitted its 10-year transportation development plan to FDOT. In this 10-year guiding document, HART listened when voters rejected light rail on this side of the bridge in 2010. Our 10-year plan instead builds upon the wild success of our Metro Rapid Bus Rapid Transit service that was built over the proposed light rail corridor for a fraction of the cost of light rail. To be precise, our BRT was 1/60th of the capital cost for light rail. When planners projected light rail would cost up to $1.7 billion, HART instead built the 18-mile BRT in a year and was $6 million under the projected $31 million cost. You can see that's quite a difference in cost. This BRT is hugely successful, and the TDP has a vision of completing 5 more BRT routes, one which comes down Kennedy from downtown on its way to the airport with a stop very close to the entrance ramp of the Howard Frankland Bridge. I come here today to support added tolling express lanes for new capacity on the new northbound span. I'm in favor of a phased approach utilizing the auxiliary lanes first. Tolling new capacity is a revenue generator that will substantially subsidize the cost of reconstructing this bridge. Commute times across the bay will vastly improve with express lanes in both the tolled and the free lanes. I am against the rail transit option due to the fact that it's incompatible with HART's chosen transit mode, which is bus rapid transit, and costs an additional $1 billion. The rail option does not generate revenue to pay for itself and will significantly reduce throughput relief that the express lanes with BRT would provide. The express lanes are a win-win proposition for both those who rely on public transit and those who prefer the freedom, flexibility, and personal mobility offered by automobiles. As demonstrated in Miami, there's a great boost to transit with express lanes. According to the available congestion reduction demonstration annual report from DOT, Miami's I-95 express lanes increased the express bus ridership by 22%, despite a decrease overall in Miami transit ridership of 12% in 2010. 53% of new riders said the express lanes influenced their decision to use transit. 38% of new riders said they used to drive. BRT is a transit solution that can seamlessly connect both transit systems now. All good reasons why I support the 3113 BRT and express lane option across the Howard Franklin Bridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Marsha Fig.
Good evening. My name is Marsha Fig. I live at 350 Bailey Street in Safety Harbor. And I'm here today not only representing the executive board of the Tampa Bay Sierra Club, but I'm also a longtime resident that lives in Pinellas County, and I work and I play in Hillsborough County. Like thousands of others, I often sit in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Howard Franklin Bridge with my car spewing carbon into our skies and showing up late for meetings and appointments. It is a fact that Tampa has lost considerable business prospects, conventions, and sporting events due to our lack of mass transit between the counties. The main mission of the Sierra Club is to protect the environment for future generations. I'm here to urge FDOT to build transit lines across the new bridge span that would include light rail. It's a cleaner form of mass transit that would connect the area's business districts and Tampa International Airport. It is your responsibility to provide a means for cleaner transportation options that will improve the quality of life, encourage more businesses to move here, bring more tourists to our lovely cities and beaches, and make day-to-day cross-county commuting a bit more tolerable. Despite the additional cost and financial burden, we must move forward to accommodate light rail on this bridge if we want to compete with other cities such as Miami and Orlando. And we must move forward to make Tampa Bay a healthier place to live, a more attractive destination for businesses and tourists, and to join the rest of the cities across the country who offer their residents clean, modern, and efficient modes of transportation. If we continue to build more lanes to accommodate more vehicles, we're only encouraging more pollution and more use of fossil fuels. This way of living has to stop, and it is incumbent upon you to bring the change that will make Tampa Bay a better place to live, work, and play.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dan Harvey.
Dan Harvey, 1425 Central Avenue, St. Petersburg, and I am speaking for myself. I went to the summit meeting today. It involved some super regions, Orlando, Tampa Bay. Talked about the private train, funded privately, coming from Tampa to Orlando. It's going to happen. There's going to be a private train, all aboard Florida. It's owned by the East Coast guys, financed out of New York. So there comes private train coming up the East Coast. Tampa Bay wants that train to come over here from Orlando. But the second phase might go to Jacksonville. Meanwhile, in Tampa, they explained the master plan for the airport. The people mover, moving the rental car facility away from the terminal, and then the people mover coming over to an intermodal at West Shore. Sounds like it's going to happen. So there'll be an intermodal at West Shore connected to the airport. Looks like long term they've planned for a train to come down the middle of I-275 through Tampa. Eventually that could connect with private money to Orlando and then up the Jacks down to Miami. So we're going to have a connection the way I see it. This conversation is about the rail going across the bridge, or the Howard Franklin Bridge. So it's about the bridge and how we're going to build it. So the billion dollar question is, do you put rail connecting across the Howard Franklin? We got a new bridge planned. It's too bad that we're putting it in the middle. We can only go 4 wide. For the life of me, I don't know why the 2 existing bridges are so close together. Wish we had a little more room there. Those green lines are pretty far apart. And so they're slamming this little bridge in between the 2 with the option to spin out to the side. Greenlight Pinellas is waiting for a study to show how light rail works over there in Pinellas, where I live. The connectivity to Tampa is very important, but is it worth the $3 billion? I'm here to study the issue, and I'll leave by saying I believe that the light rail is going to connect the Intermodal and West Shore to Orlando into the airport. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kevin Wright. Kevin Wright. Our next speaker is Jennifer Winter.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Winter. I reside at 930 59th Avenue, St. Pete Beach, Florida, 33706. I'm going to keep it very short and brief because I was here on Tuesday at the other meeting speaking on behalf of adding alternative transportation methods to this bridge. I think it's pretty crazy to only have 4 lanes and basically rebuild the same bridge, just 6 feet higher. I wanted to say in the beginning, sorry I'm late because of traffic on the bridge, so I really think we need to rethink of building the same bridge the same way. So it was important enough for me to come out twice now. You know, young people were very busy, but this is going to be my future and the future of all the young people in Pinellas and Hillsborough, so please think of us and our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dalton Howser.
That's me, Dalton Howser.
Dalton.
Yeah. Hello everyone, thanks for allowing me to speak. My name is Dalton Howser and I reside, or my office is at 3006 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa, Florida. 33609, I believe. I am a new citizen here in your area. I'm speaking on behalf of Florida PIRG. I'm the program associate there of the Public Interest Research Group here in Florida. And we recently released a new report, Moving Off the Road, which stated that for the first time ever since the car was created, there has been a decline since 2005 in the state of Florida, and Floridians are driving 11% less per person in their vehicles. That's a pretty huge drop and pretty significant. So we looked into reasons why this could be happening. We looked into urbanization, economic factors, but essentially found out, like a lot of what the other young people in the room were saying, that the largest members of our population, millennials, Generation Y, are the ones who are choosing not to drive in their cars, and they're just doesn't support their lifestyle anymore. So we also just came out with another recent report called A New Way to Go, and it basically took into account all this information, and it came to fruition that young people would rather, and other people as well would rather be on their iPods, on their iPads, be able to work, or just doing other things rather than sitting in a box all day long, not engaging with their environment. So Florida PIRG is in support of adding alternative modes of transportation to the bridge, and I would really urge you to do so, because if you don't, then like others were saying, you are going to lose the young, talented people such as Jennifer and the gentleman from the Young Democrats who spoke in Hillsborough County. You will lose us because we will move to other cities that will provide us with a cleaner, more efficient way to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Paula White.
Good evening, my name is Paula Whithouse. I live at 2840 17th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, and I also was late to this meeting because of traffic on the Howard Franklin Bridge. The Howard Franklin Bridge and I were born in the same year. It's lived here 5 years longer than I have, and I have evolved as the bridge has evolved, and it just seems to be becoming more and more of a mess. You really do need to include the plans for light rail. in the future. We're not saying they're going to slap a train on there this week, but if you don't plan for it, then you're just going to have to tear that bridge up and build another one when people come to their senses and light rail transport finally happens here. Now, I've listened to a lot of people talk here tonight, and it seems to me that the people that are opposed to light rail transit have probably never been to a place where there are alternative ways to get around. If you had, you would know that it just makes sense to be able to connect the 3 areas that we have close here, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, if you want to go on to Orlando. And no offense to the Heartline lady, but you must not have ever ridden on a Heartline bus, because unless you've got some luxury coach planned for the future, getting from USF to South Tampa is a half-day adventure. It's crowded, it is not a lot of fun, and it takes forever. So unless you can look to PSTA for how to run a bus system, I think that you should withdraw from this conversation. But no, all of us need to be in this conversation. It's all about the future. Getting from one place to another when you're running out of fossil fuels and you're stuck on a bridge and you can't get to a gas station. Wait, there's no gas there. Oh, they're holding our gas. What are you people going to do? Well, you're either going to walk across the bridge or you're going to hop on that train that hopefully is going to find its way here. Now, me, myself, I don't drive anymore. I'm legally blind and I can't. So being able to be on an affordable way of transporting me around the area that I grew up in and live just makes sense. So redo the bridge, you know, upgrade the bridge. I get upgraded all the time. The bridge should get upgraded. We're both the same age. We're both running down a little bit, but the basic point is this. If you plan for the future, when the future gets here, you're not stuck going, whoa, why didn't we think of this? It's here now. Think about it. Do it. It makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ashley Greene.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Ashley Greene, and I'm a new resident of St. Petersburg at 4234 Dartmouth Avenue. I was prepared tonight to talk about the impact of transit from the youth perspective, but I think there have been plenty of people that have spoken about it far more eloquently than I, so of course I'm going to speak on it for less time than I originally planned. I think the millennials have probably learned some of the hardest lessons from this financial and economic crisis that we've had for the last about 5 or 6 years now. 18 to 24-year-olds hold the highest unemployment rate across the nation and are also hold the biggest burden of debt in our economy. The student loan debt has now surpassed both credit card and mortgage debt combined within America. We see cars as a financial burden and as a destroyer of our environment. Frankly, overall pains in the behind to have to drive. I personally should not be on the road. I get into an accident nearly every day. I don't like my car. I hate my car. I was not going to stay in the state of Florida because as someone who grew up in Atlanta with mass transit, I knew that there were places where I could live where I didn't have to worry about car insurance, car accidents, gas. Paradise, frankly, on earth. But I think there's another level of this conversation that we frequently forget, and that's the economic justice that is provided by mass transit. Improved transit, and let me be clear, mass transit is critical to our economic security and further to securing economic justice for our region. Our current transportation policy has the potential to exacerbate isolation from critical jobs and community resources for many residents of St. Pete and Tampa. At a time of high unemployment and unprecedented income inequality, the implications of our transit policy cannot be overstated. Mass transit, including rail, is critical to really helping to provide the frameworks for prosperity regionally. I know a woman earlier was speaking about how toll would help generate revenue. And that's great, and that's fantastic, but people being able to get to and from work is going to create revenue in an area. People being able to pay their bills and have enough money to go and socialize in Tampa Bay, Pinellas County, any of the surrounding areas is what really creates revenue, not just a toll road. I do whatever I can to avoid toll roads. I already told you all I don't like driving very much, so that says something. I just want to give you all a couple of quick numbers. If you give me a second. average annual cost of owning a car, according to a 2011 survey, was $9,500. 33% of low-income African Americans are without access to automobiles. 25% of low-income Latinos are without access to an automobile. 12% of low-income whites are without access to an automobile. 80% of our current federal funding is allocated towards highways. What resolution are we really reaching? And I'm going to wrap it up. What kind of region do we want to build? And at the end of the day, what's worth investing in? As the person who's going to foot the majority of the bill for whatever is built, I'm telling you all, I'm willing to pay that bill for mass transit. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tim Heberlin.
First try, good job. My name is Brent. So, my name is Tim Harlan with the Florida Consumer Action Network. We're a member-based organization here in Tampa. Oh, I'm sorry. We've been around since 1984. Trying to get as much in my 3 minutes as possible. And we are in support of the building transit envelope. What I see up on the map is 2 of the most concentrated employment centers in the Tampa Bay area. And the question isn't how are we going to connect them now, the question is how are we going to connect them 30 years from now. And I think to a lot of people's points, we have to be a little bit forward-thinking in that. Right now we're currently building a system that has to anticipate the needs, the transit needs that we're going to have. We actually agree with I agree with Karen Jaroch about we do need more extended bus service as part of a larger multimodal plan in the Tampa Bay area as a whole. But I do live on one of the BRT routes, and there isn't a whole lot of transit-oriented development popping up there because of the Metro Rapid. But there is in Orlando with Sunrail. Even before the stations are open, they have a $500 million development going up around one of the transit stops. So TOD does work, it does happen. And I'd love to see that in my neighborhood as well. But I agree with Ms. Greene's comments regarding economic justice component to this. What we're talking about is connecting employers to employees, especially when you look at those bright purple centers. That's exactly what we're talking about. And there's no reason that in our region, the best airport, people who land in the best airport in the country should not be able to get to the best beaches in the country, or the best baseball team for that matter, despite what everyone else, other people might think. But we do want to promote and recommend that you build a transit envelope. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I will call Kevin Wright again. Make sure you didn't step out. Kevin Wright.
Hello, my name is Kevin Wright. I have a small business at 1100 North 50th Street, Tampa, Florida. And I would like to encourage everyone to realize that we're on the precipice of a digital revolution for the road. Most everything that you really think that you know about transportation is being changed right before our eyes. Back in 1995, Bill Gates was about to roll out Win95. And he had to call all his software engineers before everyone and say, hey, look, guys, we got to go back and spend another year rewriting this whole thing because it's not internet compatible. The internet is the coming thing. And they went back and they redid the whole thing from the get-go, and the rest is history. We have now on our hips computers that are more powerful than what NASA used to put men on the moon. And they cost less than a cell phone cost in 1980. That's the power of the digital revolution. It's going to change why we drive, it's going to change where we drive, and it's also going to change what we drive. We are going to have driverless cars. About 100 years ago, Tampa Bay was the site of the first airline in human history. St. Petersburg and Tampa were connected with the best plane that they had at the time. And all other airlines on the earth trace their history from there. We have the opportunity here with this Howard Frankland Bridge, which the locals know as the Howard Frankenstein, to make it the first digitally compatible bridge that is engineered for driverless cars. Driverless cars are the wave of the future. My friends in the handicapped community who want freedom and mobility, You got a lot of freedom of mobility when electric wheelchairs became available. Imagine how much more freedom and mobility you will have when you can go to your voice-activated or touch-activated personal computer or PDA or cell phone and call forth a car that will take you where you want to go safely and efficiently. Now, some of you may be saying, well, we can't afford that, that's too expensive. Those are the same people that said they couldn't afford a $4,000 cell phone when they first rolled out. The same cell phones that you can get now for free. So that's what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. Are we going to be in the vanguard of a new technology that will change the world? Are we going to be repeating the mistakes of Charlotte or Salt Lake City or New York City or some of the other places that have mass transit, but it hasn't really solved any of their problems?
So I ask that you wrap your comments up.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you. That is the last card that I have. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Seeing none. The verbatim transcript of both sessions of the hearing's verbal proceedings will be available for inspection at the District 7 office for public review upon request within 3 weeks. Thank you for attending this public hearing and providing your input into this project. It is approximately 7:02. I hereby officially close the formal portion of the public hearing for the Howard Franklin northbound bridge replacement PD&E study. You may continue to view the material on display and speak with our project staff. On behalf of the Florida Department of Transportation, thank you for attending. Good night, and please drive home safely.